All righty. Hi there. Welcome everybody. As people start to fill in, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Cameron Austin, and I'm an admissions counselor. I'm here at Baylor. I recently graduated from Baylor in May with a Bachelor of Arts in Communications, and I minored in film digital media. And so I hope you guys don't mind. I will be glowing like a disco ball this whole time. Unfortunately, the lighting in my office is just a tad crazy, but hopefully you guys can bear with it. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to kind of dive into the presentation that we're going to discuss today. So let's see. All righty. So Baylor has some awesome different study abroad programs. There really is options for everybody, whether you want to study in your freshman year, like your first semester. You can do semester programs, you can do you can do full year programs, you can do winter semester programs, you can also do summer programs as well. Back in January, I had the opportunity to go to Greece with Baylor, and so I was there for about 10 days, and it was part of like a little winter semester program where I went with about 13 other students and paired with a professor. And it's a great opportunity. And I'll kind of discuss that experience throughout and kind of pair it with all things study abroad. So what is study abroad? Some of you may have gotten an opportunity to study abroad in high school or have had family or friends who studied abroad in college. And they loved it and can't stop talking about it. And so now you're interested in it. So study abroad is essentially an educational program that takes students beyond the confinements of classroom and cultivates an opportunity for hands-on learning and experiences in another country. So as it kind of says, it breaks the traditional bounds of like what a classroom usually looks like. And so, a lot of us think of the classroom and we think about a room full of desks with a teacher at the front and a whiteboard or a chalkboard. This, as I said, breaks down those barriers, and it takes you around the world. And as you can see, these people here are, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it says down there that these guys are in Peru, and it's just another one of our summer trips. And so down here at the bottom of this slide, you can kind of see what the study abroad trips might consist of. And I kind of talked about this already, but you can travel independently with a professor. You can travel in a group. You can do research. You can intern abroad. So that way, like if you wanted to go work with, let's say, like a car manufacturing company in Germany, then you could have that opportunity with Baylor, to where you're still a Baylor student, but you are interning and taking courses in another country. It's just really cool. And so why study abroad? I mean, it just really expands your worldview, and really expands your life experiences. As I said, I went to Greece in January, and that just blew my mind as to how crazy, like, and I guess like it really like broadened my perspective on how large the world actually is, but also like how much history is within our world. And Greece is known as like the cradle of like Western civilization, and so we get to see buildings that were literally thousands of years old, that have been around since the time that Christ walked the earth. It was just really cool, and I never thought I'd get an experience like that, to physically touch those buildings, and not only touch them, but actually like stand inside of them and just be in their presence was amazing. And while you're abroad, we have opportunities where you can you learn new languages. Like let's say we have an opportunity where you can go to China for a semester, and you can learn Mandarin while you're there. We have graduate study abroad opportunities as well for those of us who might eventually go to grad school. I know for you guys, it's a few years down the line. But as I said, it really just expands your experiences as a person as a whole, and really honestly makes you a better option for jobs in the future, because you have that world experience that you can touch on for future interviews and different things like that. And so most students study abroad their sophomore or their junior year. Like I just mentioned, I studied abroad my senior year, like halfway through my senior year. Some people do it their freshman year, but generally students do it their sophomore or junior year. And that's usually because students want their whole freshman year to kind of get used to classes, kind of build their friendships and relationships. I like to say that I don't really have a recommendation as to when you should study abroad, except for like, just do what's best for you. Like if you really are really excited about a cool opportunity that presents itself like your freshman year, then I say go all in and go do that. Just because most students study abroad their sophomore or junior year doesn't exclude you from studying abroad your freshman or your senior years. And so students can study abroad after completing their first full year at Baylor. So it's like usually 30 credit hours. But like I mentioned, there are opportunities where you can go your freshman year. A lot of students come in with credits from high school, from AP tests, or maybe some dual credit courses. And there's absolutely one really cool thing about Baylor is that there's no limit on how many times you can study abroad. Really, if you wanted to, you could go every other semester and go to all kinds of different countries while you're at Baylor and really become like a worldwide student. It's really cool. And now we encourage students to plan early for studying abroad. If you have an interest, I'm glad you guys are here for this information session. Plan as early as you possibly can, whether it's budgeting or figuring out what your major is and what types of courses you would like to take abroad. Like I mentioned earlier, we have some cool language options, and that's something that you can plan into your curriculum as well. And so I obviously, like I mentioned, I was a part of communications and film digital media. So I was part of like, the arts and sciences college. And so even like my first semester, I knew that I wanted to study abroad, but that opportunity didn't present itself till senior year. But because I had planned early, it made going on that trip so much easier. I had my passport, I had everything lined up for me, and I was ready to go. Let's see. I see you guys have some questions in the chat, and we'll kind of jump into those here in a second. Kind of once I get towards the end of the presentation, we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. And then, but besides that, we have just a huge list of different countries where you can go, literally all around the world. You'll hear me say this a bunch, but there is something for everybody. There's just so many different options for our students and faculty to go abroad. And so this kind of dives into more of like the different types of study abroad programs that we have. So we have faculty-led, we have group semester, we have internships and research, and exchange and affiliate. Now, I kind of touched on like the internships and research where you could go study abroad if you really want to focus on research. And some of you may know this, but Baylor has recently been granted R1 research status. And so what that means is the Carnegie Foundation gives us extra funding to conduct more in-depth research on campus, and of course, as you can see here, abroad as well. And so students are encouraged to actively participate in those research opportunities with other students or just professors, or you could do individual research as well. And one thing you might notice is that with each of these different options, there's different amounts of courses and credit hours that you can receive or take while you're there. And so this really isn't like, it's like the four, like, let's say here we have in the faculty-led group trip, you have like 4 to 7 credit hours. So you could take one course, you could take up to 2 courses, whereas over here in the group semester, it's like a minimum of 4 courses and a maximum of 6 courses. So you could earn a full 18 credit hours, which is the maximum you can take in a regular semester in Waco at Baylor anyways. And so that would be really beneficial for you to not really have to miss out on taking a full semester at Baylor. Now, here's kind of a breakdown of the cost for studying abroad. Now, that does vary, obviously, from program to program. As I mentioned, you can go in your winter semester, you can go in summer, spring, fall, or you can go for a full year. But that we have the Baylor tuition breakdown, and then there's like fees for the different programs. So depending on, like it says here, the fees kind of vary by program as well. And so, but those fees and your tuition typically cover, nice dinners, lunches, and like the hotel or whether it's hotel or apartments that you guys are staying in, will most likely have like a breakfast provided for y'all. So most of your meals will be covered while abroad. There might be 2 or 3 that you guys will have to pay for out of pocket, but those will be like group dinners or where you might have some free time and you can get together with some friends and go try out a new restaurant that might not be a part of the regular itinerary, if that makes sense. And so um, yeah, that's this slide is always important. I always encourage students to take a picture of this and save this, as especially this is integral for that planning phase of studying abroad and making sure that you choose the program that is right for you. It's the right financial fit, but also the right fit for you and your major. Now, just like we have financial aid and scholarships for regular tuition, we have financial aid and scholarships for studying abroad as well. Now, you can apply for these scholarships at baylor.edu/global engagement. Some of these scholarships may cover portions of your trip or your trip entirely, which is really cool. And so here's just a list of these, a few of these scholarships as well. Let's see. And one thing that you guys might be thinking about is, we're in a foreign country. Will we be safe while we're there? And so I would say yes. Yeah, safety and security is a priority always for Baylor and its students. We have a center for global engagement at Baylor, and we always have someone usually on the trips that is prepared to deal with emergencies or medical situations that may arise. And we have 24-hour service while you're abroad as well, just in case something does happen. And there are different immunization requirements depending on the country that you go to, especially like the most recent immunization that was released was COVID-19. And with this, our best advice is just to go to baylor.edu/coronavirus. It's where we have like the most up-to-date information with different COVID policies and where you might need to go or where, like whether you might need to get your COVID shot depending on the country you're going to. Like for me, for example, I couldn't go to Greece unless I had my COVID vaccination. Now, we have a really cool thing called the Global Friendship Program, which is, some of you may have siblings who did something similar to this at Baylor, and when it was called the Pause Program. And essentially, as international students and scholars and U.S. students and families, you get to basically create lasting relationships with people abroad. As a student and as an alumni, you get to further and deepen those relationships even past Baylor. And so you get to essentially become like a foreign exchange. It's similar to like being a foreign exchange student, where some of you may have had friends in high school who had foreign exchange students come and live with their family. Now, Baylor has a certificate in global engagement, and this is something that you guys can get as students as well. And it's really just made for students to develop the essential skills and knowledge that'll better prepare you for leadership and service in the global society of the 21st century. This is where it's really beneficial for you to get the certificate if you're looking to maybe work abroad or intern abroad. And even if you do work domestically here in the US, it is helpful. Is a helpful tool for your resume and will help you stand out as an applicant. Now, of course, we have awesome study abroad opportunities, but we have also some awesome mission trips as well. And so at Baylor, we are unapologetically Christian. And so as Christians, we believe it is our duty to create a caring community within our campus in Waco, but also further that caring community throughout the world. And so we have more than 40 discipline-specific mission trip opportunities where you can serve in 20 different locations kind of throughout the academic school year. And so we have info sessions. So if you guys are ever on campus and would like to attend an info session about studying abroad, that is in Hankomer Business School on campus, and it's in room 263. And that's every Monday and Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m., like kind of throughout the semester. We have professors and students who lead those and kind of share stories and obviously just some general information, and really will help you plan your trips. As you guys potentially attend Baylor. This is a huge slide as well, where all things contact are here, as you guys can see. Connect with us on social media if you're interested in seeing some of the fun things that we do while we're abroad. Then go check out our Bears Abroad Instagram. And then go check out our website as well for more financial aid information, more resources for you to connect with other students and faculty, and reach out to us via email as well. I mean, I feel like a lot of high school students may think that, oh, I don't want to ask this question. It might be a stupid question. There are no stupid questions at all. We are here to help you. That's what we get paid to do. We are more than happy to help and assist you in any way in making your studying abroad dreams come true. And so here we can dive into a little bit more of like the faculty-led programs, and these are kind of more short-term programs. And this is the one that I did whenever I was in Greece. As you can see here, they happen in the summer or the winter term. And so Baylor has 30 different faculty-led programs offered every year. And so you can do major specific programs like I mentioned. I did a communication specific program where I went and studied rhetoric, or you can just do a broader program where, let's say I'm a communications major, but I'm interested in studying like a business course while I'm abroad. I can take that business course for sure. And so down here is kind of a list of some of our most popular programs and the majors associated with those programs. The Baylor in Great Britain is a huge one. I have a lot of friends who went and did that, and they absolutely loved it. Now here's where we have the group semester programs. One really cool one is the Baylor Pre-Med in Dublin. So if any of you guys are interested in doing pre-med, it is only offered in the spring, but you work hands-on with the University of Dublin in Ireland, where you can conduct research, you can work in hospitals in Ireland, and really get hands-on experience. Excuse me. So now we have like our exchange and affiliate programs. So this is more on like those exchange student programs that we have. And so here's just a list of like our most popular universities that you guys can attend as an exchange student. We have strong ties with not only these schools, but these countries as well, where, you are guaranteed that safety that I mentioned earlier. And I have kind of sprinkled in some information about internships throughout the presentation. But if you get an opportunity to intern abroad, I say 110% take that. Not only makes you a better candidate for jobs in the future, but it really gives you incredible hands-on experience that you can take with you for the rest of your life. You can form relationships with people who you may not have ever met if you hadn't studied abroad. It's just a really cool opportunity. And so we'll kind of end it on that slide there, and I'll open it up to the Q&A. We do only have a few minutes left here, so I'll do my best to answer these questions pretty quick. So Anastasia asked, is it possible to study abroad while majoring in music education? So yes, it is possible. I am not sure of like music specific study abroad programs, but we do, as I mentioned a few slides ago, we do have study abroad programs where it's more of like a general program where you can kind of take maybe some extra curricular courses that you may not take like as a music major that would still apply to your degree as a whole, if that makes sense. And so, yes, Rachel, it is additional cost if you want to study abroad. I can try and go back and find that financial aid breakdown real quick, if you'd like. Let's see. Here we go. Hopefully this answers your question, Rachel. It does add additional costs to study abroad. You will be paying for that separate from your Baylor tuition for either that semester or winter semester. Okay, Caleb, great question. Are there any study abroad programs, especially for accounting majors? There is a Baylor business program that we have. It's not necessarily for accounting specifically, but we do have like a Baylor business abroad, where students essentially go to Europe for about a month in the summer, and like every other week through. Actually it's about 6 weeks. So for about 6 weeks, students live in Europe and go to different countries about every other week. Jake, I am unsure if the Hebrew University of Jerusalem or the University of Tel Aviv are available to go study at. That's something that I'm going to put my email here in the chat real quick. So if you guys do have extra questions, and if I'm unable to answer them here, you guys can reach out to me with these questions, and I can do some more research and answer them. So let me send that in real quick, because I can definitely find that out for you, Jake. I'm sorry that I can't answer that right now. Are there any faculty programs for pre-med students? Yes, there are. So I kind of dove in earlier about into like the St. Andrews program that we have, and like the Ireland Dublin program that we have. Those are all for like pre-med students, where, like I said, you get to work in the hospitals with students. Here we go down here, the Baylor pre-med and Dublin. Hopefully this information here kind of answers your question. Let's see. How many applicants are accepted to the Dublin Study Abroad program each semester? That's a great question, Charlie. That's something that if you can email me that question and reach out to me. I'm not 100% sure what the stats are on that, unfortunately. That's definitely something I have to do a little more research on. And so Emma asks, is it possible to study abroad for a minor like Korean language studies or Latin while majoring in a subject like biology? Great question, Emma. And the answer to that question is yes. We offer a ton of different programs that you can still choose from, and you can still apply for, even if like I said, I went on that trip for communications majors, but I had students who were bio majors and chemistry majors that were on that trip with me, even though it was like technically like a communications trip. So you really can apply for any trip that best suits your needs. Yes, Romy, scholarships do apply to study abroad, and you can apply to those through our Baylor.edu website. And if you go to the search bar and type in like study abroad, then that's where you'll get more information on different scholarships for studying abroad. This is a great question. What is your recommended maximum number of study abroads we should do? It really depends on the person, but that I think that's like the best answer I can give. For me personally, studying abroad only once was my maximum, just because I loved my experience in Waco. But I would say I recommend a max number of traveling just 2 or 3 times. You don't want to miss out. You definitely do want to get that abroad experience. And so I encourage you to go at least once, but no more than about 3 times, just because you do eventually begin missing out on quite a bit of your Waco experience and what all that Baylor has to offer in the US as well. And so I hope that answers your question. I would say do at least one, but try not to do any more than 3. And then also kind of depends on what types of trips you do as well. So like if you do like 3 trips that are like a full semester, that is incredible. And I encourage you to do that, but you got to think about like on the back end, you're missing out on a lot of Waco experiences as well. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today, guys, but I appreciate you all for stopping by. You're welcome, Sarah. Thank you all for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Premiere experience.